yes, for both for different reasons, but it's the hospitality industry is in the UK is so the margins are so tight, and it's different to other countries, rates, taxes, VAT, that there's going to be loads and loads of businesses going. It could be a catastrophe if the Chancellor doesn't quite get it right, and then obviously he's in a very, very difficult situation. But there's talk of 80% of hospitality businesses could go, if in a worst case scenario. We're relatively in a good place, but we're not in this to make bucks, and we were never making bucks doing this in when we're packed every night. And now without the music and without the bar potentially for a while, that was always what really made us some money. So we're really going into uncharted territory now. I think it originated a conversation between Dom at Pasta Loco and Josh Eggleton, and they got together and had the idea to join forces to feed all of Bristol's homeless, between them and their kitchens and their staff, before the lockdown, anticipating the lockdown. That became a broader question then about the hospitality industry and the supply chain, suppliers, farmers within the Bristol area, and the Bristol Food Union came out of that. So we started to get together as a small group just prior to lockdown, however long ago that is, 44 days, 45 days, and it's been an ongoing process since then. I don't know, Rob Del Naja came into the conversation fairly early and was very keen to support it and donated £10,000 to kick that off, the fundraiser. And we've been generating the money to cook the food, to send out to NHS key workers, community projects, and as I said, the homeless work, that homeless food provisions, care work provision boxes. There's lots of stuff going on. So it's been going on sort of just prior to lockdown. It kicked off. It's a natural process to be working with colleagues that I get on with, cooking foods with love and passion for people to enjoy. It's the fact whether people are paying for it and eating it here or elsewhere is a relatively minor detail in a sense. I think we're all very grateful on a selfish point, from a selfish point of view, to have the opportunity to be doing something for our own mental health. And we're all passionate and believe in the project, and we're getting good feedback from the people that the food's going out to. Obviously, at the same time, we're all apprehensive, and there's a lot of anxiety, like there is throughout society, about the change and about where it's going. So it feels like it's the right thing for us to be doing. At the same time, we're having ongoing conversations about how we might come out of this and reopen in phases. Personally, I'm in various WhatsApp groups now with the Bristol Food Union, national operator groups. Jonathan Downey has been a big driver of a sort of a hospitality voice, London-based, but sort of now spread nationwide. So there's a sort of there's always a consensus through that. At the same time, you have sort of sources in Cobra or whatever that are giving you a fairly accurate prediction of what might happen. I mean, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a phased reduction of the furlough, and I think they've gone in fairly high at 80%. That's generous for people that are generally spending very little money, but that they will reduce that. But but the restaurant sector will be one of the last sectors, bar sector, club sector, to come out of this. So I think they're going to try and support us in the longer term. But realistically, I mean, as a music venue, I'm thinking a year plus for us to be back having major gigs in here. But obviously, food, takeaway, and then maybe some dining in-house within the year. We're completely shut, so we're not doing any takeaways here or over the road. But we're now discussing ways to bring that in. Other independent businesses, a small number, have started doing that. There's Bachman on Nine Tree Hill, Poco are doing burgers, and then provisions boxes, food that's pre sort of boxes, the ingredients that are made for you to cook at home. Various people are doing different things that in general there seems to be a good uptake on it. Obviously, if you're going to take people off furlough and then you're not going to have the money from the government, there needs to be a certain demand for it to justify doing that. And then there's the health aspect of whether we feel it's ethical to bring people into the business and into contact with the public potentially, or delivery drivers, if there's a pandemic, if we're enduring a pandemic. I suppose the general feeling is that Bristol has been, thankfully, relatively untouched by it, relatively. So the feeling is probably it's more ethical now to do that. And we'll probably look at reopening as takeaways in some shape or form within the next month, 6 weeks, I would predict. I mean, I think from early doors, I was having conversations with musicians, and I've been in touch with our residents just to I don't know, just to chat to them, friendly chats and touching base. And seeing how they are and seeing what they were up to. I think original ideas of doing a live stream from the Galli with just a filmmaker and a musician were kicked into the long grass because we thought it was inappropriate to do that. And now we've come in with a full week, because I thought it would be fun to have the full week listings boards as we would have normally, and do a full week to raise some money for the musicians and for the Bristol Food Union, potentially. I don't know if that's really happening, but we'll find out at the end of the week. I think musicians are adjusting now to the world we're living in and getting their heads around the reality that they won't be gigging again for a while. Really, it's going to be the last thing on the list. So I think there's more appetite from them to find a way to keep communicating their craft and connect with their listenership, fans, and whether it's my responsibility, but it's I've got the platform to do that. And there's an appetite for through the Galli channels to hear what people are up to. Waldo's Gift are playing tonight, and it's sod's law for them. And say a band like Snazback, they were just really at the crest of a wave when this all happens. So it's quite important for them really not just to shut down completely, and to try and keep active and keep creative and keep performing in a way that feels safe and appropriate. Well, I mean, the Bristol Food Union, we're working on a online festival. Massive Attack will be performing, and obviously all the festivals are done, aren't they? There's no festivals going on this year, but as a way for musicians to perform and as a fundraising tool, there'll be a Bristol Food Union festival at some point in the not too distant future. So there'll be online festivals going on, I would have thought, elsewhere as well, if they've not already happened. I think there was one recently with Massive Attack and Idols on the bill that just crashed and just didn't happen because they hadn't prepared the tech for it properly. So that's another, obviously, that's a, you know, something that has to be sorted. I mean, I think I did think there's a middle ground at some point when restrictions are loosened, and I'm sat here now, you know, you can see with the stage on the stage, but having gigs that are filmed and streamed on in-house, that here with a, you know, with a better sound production and visual film production, which might be a sort of an interim step again. So I think there'll be more and more creative ways to keep music, to keep hearing music, keep allowing musicians to play new material and to communicate to people. And we're all wanting to do that, and we're all creative enough to think of ways to do that, hopefully.